In this episode, we're going to go through whether or not you're ready to start dating.
Aspire to make a difference.
In many cases, you've gone through something devastating. You've been rebuilding your life. Hopefully by now you've got some new friends and new hobbies and new other things that you've been doing, and done a lot of work on yourself. Now you've got to kind of go, well, what's next? In many cases, this might be several months, weeks, months, maybe even years. And now you get to see, am I ready? And if I am ready, what do I want to do in terms of these next steps? There's a variety of different things you can try. You can go to bars and clubs, those kind of things, or you can do things online. Nowadays with apps and different things like that, there's a lot of other platforms that you can use to help you get access to men or women, depending on what you're looking for. You can do anything from a very serious relationship to something very casual, and even hookup culture, which is very common these days, which was very unusual for me when I was in this situation. For me, my bomb, actually I had 3 bombs that went off. The first one was when my ex asked me to move out, so that was a big shock. And I realized very shortly thereafter that I was not ready for a long-term relationship. And I also did look at casual relationships, so I kind of went on the dating apps and stuff like that. But I also went into something that many people think is very taboo, which I'll actually cover in another video. But I also got into sugar babies, and so there'll be some interesting subjects. We'll get into that when we start diving into that area. It was very eye-opening, very soul-searching to figure out what I wanted and what I didn't want. The devastation from the breakup of the marriage was really, really tough to deal with. And there was, like I said, it was several waves of it. So it wasn't just like all of a sudden things are gone. And for some people, they never really get to the point where they're ready to move on. You hear couples that, the husband or wife passes and they never get really remarried. And I can definitely see why that would be the case. Or they take many years to get ready to do this. In this day and age, it's somewhat easier to move forward, and in other ways, it's actually much harder. I think the expectations out there are such that they're difficult to deal with. I very much recommend, as I did in the previous episode, I recommend getting some therapy. I would highly recommend continuing it. After my 3rd bomb is when I actually got therapy. So I actually did it kind of late in the game. If I had to do over again, if I have another bomb that went off, I would do it from day one, actually maybe even pre-bomb. For me, I didn't do it until after the 3rd bomb, and it helped me kind of stabilize and figure out who I was and what I wanted going forward. And I continue to see that therapist. I have what I call a spiritual therapist and a regular therapist as well, that I just talk online every other week and talk all the stuff that is going on in my life, make sure I'm not going off the rails, set boundaries, set things that I want in my life and things I don't, and then rebuild. And that's a key thing, is what do you want in your life? For many of us, if we've been in a long-term relationship, we don't really know what we want. We know what we want as a couple, but what do you want? And if you're no longer a couple, then it's another time to reflect on what is important to you, what is important in your life. What are the things you like to do? And try things, just like in the previous ones, I said, try different things. But now it's probably been weeks or months since since everything went off. And at the beginning, you got to take day by day. You may need to force yourself to get up in the morning. You may need to take a breath and be like, I don't even want to go on. But then as each day goes on, you'll get further and further from that disaster that struck, and you can continue to build your life. And you get to the point where you're actually happy in your life. And the interesting thing is, when you're happy in your life and your things are going well, that's when you get attracted to the other people. Other people come into your life that come to you. And it also gets a chance, if you are gonna, want your relationship back that you had, it is a potential that could happen too. Especially if you start dating and stuff like that. I've had several friends that they start dating someone and then all of a sudden the ex comes out of the woodwork and says, wait a minute, maybe I made a mistake here. I should have stayed with you. And, then you have to decide, do you want the new relationship or the old one? One of the key points I've learned through personal experience and also through videos I've come across on YouTube and practical experience and using some of them, first you need to kind of do self-reflection. Am I ready? Am I ready to take this step? And if I am, what step am I going to take? Am I ready for a full-on relationship? Am I not? Then if you say, okay, yes, I'm ready. Okay, how am I going to go about this? And one of the things I recommend is looking at it like you're hiring a boyfriend or girlfriend. And it sounds kind of cold. You'd be like, why would you want to do that? Well, you're definitely going to go by emotion and things like that, and they're going to definitely be a factor, but you might as well stack the deck more in your favor. So if you're going, okay, my last relationship, they had this and this and this, these are the factors I liked, and these are the things I don't, you can kind of, as I put my Spock hat on, you can kind of come up with a rating scale. And I know it sounds very cold and callous to say that, but there's, you can kind of say, okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want. And it ends up being like hiring a partner. What aspects do you want them to bring to the table? And what are non-negotiables? Are the things that you will not accept? I've had a tendency of being the white knight, saving, rescuing my partner. Fortunately, I'm getting out of that problem. And the people have all kinds of issues. They go after the bad boys that treat them like crap all the time, that dump them, that cheat on them, all this kind of stuff. And maybe you can break the pattern that you're dealing with. That's why I highly recommend having a therapist, because they can help you stay on track. Are you sure you want to go with this person? This person seems kind of abusive. Why do you want to do that? What are you looking for? And if you're ready to get started, we definitely will help out. We've got some videos in the pipeline that we're going to work on to help take you to the next level and help you hire your boyfriend or girlfriend. And then hopefully more than just the analytical side. Please like and share this video with anyone who may benefit from its content. It's word of mouth from people like you who will help this channel to grow.